Hello, everyone. So, I'm going to talk about the second episode of Season 7 for American Horror Story Cult. So, in this episode, we basically pick up where we last left off, which is where Allie was sleeping in bed, and when she turned, she saw a clown. So, we assumed either she was having a nightmare or she was actually being attacked by a clown. So, when we begin in this episode, Allie is running downstairs to Ivy, and she basically, amazingly, Ivy actually believes her, and she goes into protection mode, and they're slowly walking up the stairs to go check it out, and once Ivy checks the room, she finds nothing, so they assume that Allie is going crazy. Now, here's the interesting thing. I feel like this is just my theory right now. I feel like Ivy is a part of this somehow. Like she's a part of the cult one way or another. And she was walking very slowly up the stairs, so that would have given the clown plenty of time to hide somewhere else or escape. So I'm wondering, and I'm gonna bring up some more stuff about her possibly being a part of the cult as well. But what happens next is their child Oz has a nightmare, and I actually thought this was happening. He actually sees Twisty, and another clown also shows up, so that's what made me think that it was actually happening. But it turns out it was just a nightmare, and it makes sense because he actually witnessed the clowns murdering their neighbors. So that verified it as a dream. So, poor Oz. Oh, what's the next thing? Okay, so here's what's interesting. Kai, in the last episode, we met him, and the last thing we saw was he was being attacked, mostly because he prompted the attack. And it was filmed, so it kind of gives us an idea that he's planning something. So he admits that he's running for councilman, which the neighbor had as the position, the neighbor that died. So that kind of connects Kai to the clown cult, does it not? I'm not entirely sure exactly how all of this is functioning yet, but I'm positive Kai has something to do with it. He's just too manipulative and evil not to be a part of the cult. Of course, Ryan Murphy surprised us in the past, but I think he's up to something. So the next thing... So Allie and Ivy have new neighbors, played by Leslie Grossman and Billy Eichner. And I just 100% jumped into the conclusion that they are definitely a part of the cult. They're suspicious. The way that they react when Allie mentions that there was a murder-suicide, and they're just like, oh, haha, no, that doesn't bother us. They're just so, it's just very suspicious how they react to it. And they also have or I think it was Billy Eichner's character, he has like a beekeeping thing going on in the backyard. And of course, when Allie sees the honeycomb, that really bothers her because she has the fear of holes, small holes, something like that. So that really bothers her, and we've been seeing a lot of promos and ads where Ryan Murphy's really been hyping the whole bee thing, so I think that's finally going to come into play. How, I'm not positive. I still wonder if the cult's going to use the bees somehow. Maybe to create fear, to cause it. Not sure, but we will see. So, the neighbors are suspicious, like I said, especially since they moved into the house not too long after the neighbors died. That really makes you think that's very suspicious. Billy Eichner's character also had the line, "We don't scare easily." And that brings me back to the theme of fear this season. And fear is definitely a big part of what the season is. And I am definitely going to get to that in a moment because fear unfortunately caused a very unfortunate accident in the final moments of the episode. So, what happens is this is the setup here. Ivy walks in. Ivy and Allie are dealing with the employees. At one point, one of the chefs and one of the chefs and the busboy Pedro, they get into a fight, and this is causing some serious tension. And you wonder, is the chef going to end up hurting Pedro in some way? And I actually didn't see this coming. Later, when the security alarm is tripped, Allie goes to turn it off, and in the meat locker, she finds the chef hanging on one of those meat hooks. Ugh. So, we don't know exactly what went down or what happened, and they jump a week later, so we really don't get the story. Everything seems normal all of a sudden, and then in walks in the therapist, who was just taking a stroll around the neighborhood, sure, and Allie mentions to him that the chef was still alive when she found him, and she tried to unhook him. Unfortunately, that caused him to fully die. So she thinks she killed him because of that, but he assures her that it wasn't her fault because she was trying to help him. But I actually thought for a second that Allie actually did kill him, like her fear somehow caused her to kill him. And I think they want us to think that because something happens, and I'm gonna get to that. So keep in mind, this is a foreshadowing moment. So the next thing is my notes here. Okay, so Kai shows up, and Allie and Ivy have a screen door now. They have like a little opening at the top so they can see and talk to people, but it's meant to be for protection. And he's making a big point about the door because he's talking about fear, and he's asking her, like, when do you feel scared and all that kind of stuff. And she really doesn't want to hear it, but he's trying to get like a vote for himself, but he does it in a really creepy way, which I think is kind of a metaphor for how politicians can seem. They can seem very scary sometimes, and they definitely are manipulative. So Kai is definitely an embodiment of that. So that they make the big deal about the screen door, and that is going to come into play in a moment. I'm going to get to the moment, trust me. So what happens is, later at night, Ivy is away at the restaurant. Allie, Winter, and Oz are at home. Winter is... Speaking of Winter, so she is still a very suspicious character. You wonder if she's under Kai's... I don't want to say spell, but let's say employment. Or I think she has her own agenda, honestly. She just seems more complex, and she might seem scared in front of Kai, but when she's around other people, she seems very, like, she has her own idea of how she's going to do things. I'm not sure, but that's just a theory. So eventually the power goes out, and this is where things get intense. So Allie and Winter are told to stay inside the house because they believe that there's something going on. And eventually Winter decides to leave because she's worried about her belongings, and it's like, she's obviously up to something. You wouldn't just leave for your belongings. I'm pretty sure that they're all setting Allie up for something here. And eventually Allie sees a clown, which freaks her out, and she goes up to Oz's bedroom, and Allie actually got a gun from the neighbors, so she's ready to use it when she needs to. So she and Oz are ready to run out of the house to go get help. She opens the door, and unfortunately, because Ivy sent Pedro to go check on Allie, he's right at the door. She sees Pedro, freaks out, and shoots him. He's dead. So that was really... I actually had a feeling that was going to happen after Ivy sent Pedro to go check on Allie. They were really setting that up, I really felt, but it still shocked me. I gasped, literally, because I didn't think that was actually... Because, you know, sometimes Ryan Murphy makes it seem like it's going to happen and then it doesn't. But this scene happened to make a point. Allie let her fear control her, and this resulted in her being ready to kill somebody just because she was startled. So that is definitely going to cement the rest of the season of what's going to go down with Allie. So I really... Man, that's just... It was intense. But I really see the theme now. Fear controls people. Fear makes people do things you wouldn't think they would do. Because it's just something that happens in the mind where it just controls you. That's the way I can put it. And it speaks about America too, because like I mentioned the screen door earlier, it was meant to be protection. And that's what it was when Allie opened the door. The screen door was there. She sees Pedro and shoots him. And that was... The screen door is meant to represent protection, like I said. But the fact that she used it to shoot Pedro, that's very telling. So it's also... How to put this? It basically goes back to how America has always let fear... It uses it to control things. Like every time we're scared of something, we do something rash. And that's basically what that whole scene represented. So, Allie is definitely going to be in trouble with that. We've seen pictures of signs like Justice for Pedro, I think that's what it said. So, something's definitely going to go down. I don't know how, or how things are going to play out, but I'm very interested to see the rest of the season how they're going to play on the theme of fear. As far as theories go, I do still believe Ivy has something to do with it. She sent Pedro to Allie's home, and that makes me suspicious. Just because it all seems so set up. The fact that Winter left during the clown attack, and then Allie's there alone with Oz. The neighbors gave her a gun. So it just all seems very planned. And I can't say for sure that any of them are part of the cult, but it's just all very suspicious. And there was even a picture that my friend sent from, it was Twitter or something. There's a picture of one of the clowns wearing a striped shirt, and then there's a picture of Ivy wearing a striped shirt, black and white striped shirt. So you wonder, is Ryan Murphy trying to tell us something there? Don't know, but it's possible he's giving us a red herring here where he wants us to think this stuff and it's going to be completely different. It's hard to know. But I truly believe that Ivy has something to do with it. And the therapist, he's very suspicious, I think. they all know Allie's fears, so they could easily manipulate her and use that to their advantage. I don't know how or why they're targeting Allie, but I wonder. It's anybody's guess at this point, but those are my theories. And yeah, just stay tuned and we're going to see what happens with the rest of the season. All right. Have a good day, guys. Bye.